Truth be told, when I wonder what the future holds, it takes me out of the present. New moon waxing, full moon waning, crescent. Life cycles, teammates or rivals. Soul search, dangerous World War III, the goal's always survival. That's nature, day you're born when you meet your maker. Tears start chasing paper, burning trees or melting glaciers. But truth be told, when I wonder what the future holds, it's impossible to process, so I stay focused on my progress.
Happy New Year. Still get to say that. We're only a few days in. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, man, good. Happy New Year to everyone, man.
Very
new year, new start.
Good silence there. Interesting. So, as per usual, we welcome everybody back to the Triple Captains podcast, obviously the first one of 2026. We haven't been around since game week was 18, right? If I remember correctly, where I sat in the middle and was gloating about winning, yada, yada, yada. But so there's a lot to discuss as the festive season brings in loads of games, loads of game weeks have happened, chopping and changing and so on and so forth. But first, on a human level, how are you all doing? How was your Christmas, Guffs?
Yeah, man, Christmas is always a nice period, man. I get to see the family. I don't live all the way in London. We don't live close proximity-wise, so it was nice to have the family around. You know, kids growing up, chaos, but it was nice, man. Glad that I'm through it. I'm glad they're back in school soon. But like, yeah, it was all good, man. It was all good. Thank you.
And Hots, what about you? How was the Christmas period?
Yeah, it was okay. I worked through it.
You were working?
Family. Yeah, I was. Usually on Christmas I'm not really here. Not really, no.
Okay.
No, just work through it. Usually I'm off around Christmas time. I'm either not in the country or I'm just off work period. But this year I decided to just stay in. Usually I get told it's quiet, which it was, so that was good. Family, just got to see a few of my friends, etc. Arsenal stayed top of the league. Christmas period as a whole was good, apart from the FPL side. But it's a new year now, and it started off better. So hopefully,
it's good to see you smiling, Hots.
Yeah. I mean, last time out we saw you was looking quite upset, sir. So we're assuming at some point we address FPL and you won or done better than you wanted to.
Not even, to be honest. Like I said, the Christmas period is a bit dead. Obviously, where we decided to cover the Christmas period as a break, which made sense for all of us. Just for those that are thinking what's going on. The 3 game weeks as a whole, whoever won the most of those game weeks will be in the middle hosting. Ark won the 2 over the Christmas period, hence him smiling and being in the middle. And I've won the most recent one for the new year, which gives us new figures. Obviously, Guffs didn't win any, so he's just at the side. He's just at the side as usual.
Listen. Our people can count, yeah. When you answer 2 and 1, we guessed that I got 1-0, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Allow it. I mean,
well, you wouldn't be to have a smile.
It's a new year. Don't get me started. I mean, I'm happy. Everything's blessed. But yeah.
Okay, cool. And I suppose that brings us to the.
How was yours, Miss Big Man? Yeah, man.
It's interesting. Kids are older now, so not as chaotic, but there's always something that comes up at Christmas that kind of changes the direction to what you had in your head or what you was thinking it was going to be. So I didn't quite get to just put my feet up over all of that period, but life is life, as they say. And once I didn't get Lynx Africa or a pair of slippers, so I'm good. How was things generally from an FPL standpoint? Obviously, you've touched on it, Hots, that for you felt that was dead. What about for you, Guffs?
Yeah, it was a kind of a blur period for me. Like, wasn't terrible, wasn't great, you know. Like, I think, although I didn't manage to sort of win any of the game weeks, I wasn't like a million miles behind the winning person any given game week. It was just, I was hoping for a real sort of shot in the arm going into the new year, because I've got a lot of ground to make up. so I didn't quite get there. Obviously, I made my transfers for the AFCON, 5 transfers pretty early on in December, with the hope of trying to kind of get ahead of the curve, I could say. But it's been okay. I've been a bit unlucky, I guess, in certain game weeks. But yeah, I mean, we're now in that kind of period now where playtime is definitely over, and there's like no room for error now. Every game week has to kind of hit off now. And it's difficult because I've been playing this game for a long, long time, and every year, the players that play this game get smarter. There's more information out there. Hence, what we're doing here, and it's hard to catch up now to people at the top because they're all playing the game very well. So those big 50-point swings you could do years ago, it just doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, keep ticking away, and hopefully I'll kind of make some progress. But it's tough.
Yeah, for me it was quite similar. I think Christmas period is always challenging, right? Because of the rotations. So I think the first and second week I got away with it. The third week it really started kicking in. And it's really difficult to gauge the rotation of some, really. Unless you have got players in your team that are from a team that has got quite a light squad. But for instance, for most of us where we've got an Arsenal player, for instance, or whatever, not like, it was always difficult to work out, okay, we know he's going to rest Saka at some point, but when is it going to be? Is it going to be in 19 or is it going to be 21? So yeah, so it's been a challenge that way. I've had some ups, had some downs, but we'll go into that a bit later on as we get further into the episode. And speaking of episodes and generally where we are at the moment, I know before we went, we spoke about New Year, new beginnings for me and Gus, because we didn't really want to address the league position, etc. But speaking of new beginnings, we're taking things in a slightly different direction this year, which is more an evolution than a revolution, if that makes sense. And it's more just because the season's changed. So it's not that we weren't doing things that worked or weren't right, or we didn't think it was a good thing. But we're at a stage now where it's the business end, as they say, and decisions really matter. So we are looking to make sure that we step back from week to week noise and start leaning in towards what good managers actually think, what they do, and how they make certain choices, and how context shifts mean that we can make the right call, or when to be patient rather than panic. So you'll still get all the fixtures, captains' opinions, that kind of thing. And clearly there will always be banter between the three of us. None of us wants to lose to the other. But at the same time, we won't always give a post-mortem over things. We're really looking at how do we create a strategy that gives an environment for all of us to win. So we won't be chasing last week's points all the time. But at the same time, we'll be giving you something before the deadline every time. So, as we have been away for the festive period, and we've had 3 game weeks before we've got back here, it's probably a good time for us to see what the impact has been on the mini league that we have. So, first and foremost, we have a moment. Evangelists and Demons has moved off the bottom. No longer bottom, no longer rigidly there. I think that individual had a very good game week. They had Declan Rice as captain. Obviously, he's done his thing. And they're now...
Declan Rice, Go on.
Yep.
Are you all that?
So,
all right.
So definitely thought about it. It wasn't a fluke. So what we have now, our bottom 5 is looking as Baby Reinders, 2 peak for you. Glim, you've unfortunately made a reappearance in a place where you shouldn't be. Cheeky Cherry United, and then Evangelists and Demons is now 5th from bottom. So
5th from bottom, wow.
Fingernail clap to you.
Just before you move on up, I would like to say, because I was onto that team because of the team names in the earlier episodes, until we realised what it actually meant. And I did say, when you're at the bottom, you will get criticised. And when you start to rise, all this criticism might help. I'm not saying it did, but well done, because you're basically almost out of the bottom 5. And not everyone would have seen that coming. So congratulations on a real. Yeah, so
definitely. And the top 5 looks quite familiar. We've got Peaky Blinders is still number 1, and is now starting to create some level of gap. Gonna Win is behind.
Don't bottle it, mate. Don't bottle it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And then you've got Green Arrows 2.0 has made it back into the top 3. Your Vert's Nightmare is up there as well. And Posh 911 has gone down to 5th. And as for us, we'll address that a bit later on.
Yeah, let's do that.
Rightio. So without further ado, I guess it's also useful for us to start looking at what the next game week looks like. Obviously, we've come into the new year. We've got a game week that has just finished, and like that, within 2 days, another one starts. So what we got looking at the fixtures wise? We've got Hammers v Forest. What are we thinking?
Boy, West Ham couldn't beat Wolves, right?
Yep.
I don't see, you see your guy, Nuno, since your prediction of him going to West Ham's happened. I think all the West Ham fans must hate you for that prediction that came true. Do you know what I mean? There must be that arc in his big mouth saying that he's going to come there and it sound like a masterpiece of insight. And then he's gone there and it's like, what is he doing? West Ham was doing.
But you know what? Yeah, before you go into that, there's a pattern happening this season with managers, right? Who, talk their way out of a job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he started this trend now, just chatting breeze, and then he got sacked, got his money, he's left. And now we've got, Enzo, same thing, came out, the worst 48 hours of my life, boom, 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 and now he's been shipped off. And now Amarim has come out and started to chat a bit of Greece now the last few days. And we'll see how that ends out. Do you know what I mean? So I think the question I want to ask before we go any further, really, and I think what everyone wants to know at this point, Ark, just so I know for betting odds, when is Amarim going to go?
Well, the weirdest thing is, I saw some stuff that was saying that Maresca has been talked of for the United role, which I thought was outlandish at the time, but who knows? That said, it's funny that you mocked Nuno, because I remember at the time you thought he was good for saying what he's saying, because you said that he's got credit in the bank and he's basically showing this Greek gangster that, you can't blow me off, you can't just come onto the pitch and carry on like he carried on. But yeah, I agree with you. There is some weird trend of everybody is talking the most at a point where they don't need to be talking. The Maresca thing was weird. I remember when it first happened, I was like, "Oh, that was odd," and you knew that the writing was on the wall from then. I mean, with Amarin, he just looks like he's having a Kevin Keegan moment every 5 minutes as it stands. So, yeah, God knows what happens with that. But yeah, I think rather than just talking through some of them, we probably should just get up what the fixtures are and whether we think there are any in particular that are difficult. Clearly, Arsenal-Liverpool is going to be a talking point.
Yeah. Look, I think you started off with West Ham Forest game. This is a huge game, right? Huge game. And I know West Ham come into this game in poor form. Wolves took them to the cleaners, their first win. But this game reminds me a little bit of the West Ham Burnley game a few months ago, when West Ham came into that game struggling. West Ham at home, right, against Forest. I think it's
his own club.
I think it's the kind of game which I can see West Ham turning up. Do you mean? I think they have to.
Oh, he doesn't want to be losing to Nottingham Forest, does he? The team that he left to go to West Ham.
Look, West Ham fan base are an emotional bunch. You know what I mean? I think that from an FPL standpoint, I'll be tempted to be looking at Bowen for this game, because I think that it's one of those games where, he's the kind of maverick of that team, and I think he'll be the one that will stand up and will try and push them towards victory. And I think it'll be an interesting game, and I can see this. I can see West Ham winning this game. I can see him being central to that. So watch out for Bowen this game week. Is what I'm saying, because
you putting him in, are you?
I might do. I might. Do you know what? I was gonna put him in this game week, just gone, and I'm very thankful I didn't. But it's tempting, because I think that West Ham have got some decent games coming up, and I think
they have.
This could be one of those games. They're at home, and they've got to win this game, West Ham. They've got to win, and I think they will.
I want Nuno to do well, but it's starting to feel like the writing's on the wall for West Ham. Like my relegation lot, I would look at Wolves, I'd look at West Ham, and you look at Burnley. There's an outside chance that if Semenyo does go, that Bournemouth end up down there as well, because they're too chaotic, right? They can't string anything together. That said, looking at the other fixtures that are out, ones that stand out, I guess, or that I'm trying to see whether there is a fixture that we should be targeting, and I feel like at the moment, especially as we've just come off the festive period where everybody's rotating, most people have got a January that is full of matches as well. Like you kind of looking at it, and I struggle to see any of the matches where I'm like, yeah, you could target there. I mean, to an extent, maybe United v Burnley.
Even that's a bit shaky, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
The thing is, that's probably the only one on paper where you would say Burnley or at home they're decent, but Man U, if they were the Man U of many years ago, then you'd think they'd go there and smoke them. But with this Man U, you just don't know. But Man U have been on the edge of a victory a few times now and haven't got it. And I think they're due a win.
To be honest with you, there's a few games to look at this game week which are quite interesting for me from an FPL standpoint. I think the Arsenal-Liverpool game is an interesting game. You know, there's part of me that thinks that Liverpool, just out of sheer pride, will kind of give an extra 10% because they're playing Arsenal and they want to kind of maybe try and hurt us. But I think that we're quite good at exposing their flaws. You know, in particular, set pieces, they've been poor all season, Liverpool, and we're pretty good in those.
Except for the last game against us when they beat us 1-0 with a free kick. So I don't, for me,
yeah, but I mean,
I'm on smoke. I just want us to batter them.
A lot's happened since then, and I think that if the Arsenal feel like we're kind of getting into a good groove now, and I think if we continue that vibe, I can see us putting, 3 past Liverpool potentially, and I think that could be one to target. Another game I think is quite interesting is...
So we're into a new year and you lot are still on this chesting business when it comes to Arsenal.
Well, I think we should be, man. I don't see why I shouldn't feel confident about beating Liverpool, like, quite frankly. But another game to look at as well is the Newcastle-Leeds game. I think Leeds have been good defensively, and Newcastle have been up and down, but they have been good at home. And I think one of the issues with Newcastle has been struggling to play 2 games a week. But Leeds have got a small squad. They've had a lot of games in a short space of time. They've had to obviously rotate their DCL. So I think at Newcastle at home, they're always good at home. And I think that could be a good game for them. So those are 2 games to watch out for. And obviously Burnley play Man United. Burnley, they've been crap all year, but they've been okay at home. They haven't been slapped at home. And Man United are still missing a lot of attacking players. So although I expect Man United to win that game, I don't think it would be a landslide. So... I've got a few Man United assets in my team.
Who do you think will be central to United winning if they do against Burnley?
I think you've got to look at Cunha, haven't
the
you?
Usual.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you've got to look at Cunha. I mean, obviously, the last couple of games, Man United have been playing with a slightly different shape, and they've had Shaw playing higher up on the left, and they're playing obviously Dogu in the right midfield. So these are the kind of assets that you're looking at right now as possible ones to look at for this game week, because you think they might get attacking returns and maybe a clean sheet. So defensive assets could be interesting for this game for Man United.
I know a lot of people's gone that way with Dorgu and other Dallo. For me, I'm glad I didn't go with that approach. They haven't kept a clean sheet against Wolves, against the other teams. Obviously, Burnley's going to be the last team in that bottom section of the league that they're going to play. So if you haven't put in Dorgu already, I'd be thinking twice before putting him in now, personally. I think a couple of nations is going to be soon done. Once Ahmed's back, he should be taking that right back straight away. Might have some rotation, he might get some rest more, but Dorgu's not going to be a full 90 minutes guy in that position in the next run of fixtures. So this is the last so-called easy game, and they couldn't keep one against the easy team. So it won't surprise me if they beat Burnley, but it won't surprise me if they concede one as well, considering Burnley's at home.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I have Dogu in my team.
And you ain't had a clean sheet from them.
No, and you're right. but like, to your point, I think you kind of summarise it perfectly. Like, if you've got these Man United assets in your team already, I would keep them for one last game week, but then look to sort of get rid of him after this game week.
I won't rush to get rid of them.
Stop
'cause they
giving
could
them a
get
level
benched.
of an asset. If you've got a United player in your team, that's about it. They ain't assets. But what we thinking Fulham Chelsea?
I think that game is going to be interesting. Obviously, Chelsea don't know who the manager is going to be. Fulham have been trying to like keep in it at the moment. It's like they got a never say die attitude at the moment. It's like they want that victory and they just haven't been getting it. But they're not having getting beaten either. They've done it today as well. So against Liverpool.
Fulham are a good home team. You know, and they have been the last couple of years. And they've had quite a good defensive record as well the last few game weeks. I know they conceded two today, but I think by and large they've been quite sound defensively. I expect they'll probably play the same sort of style they did against Liverpool in keeping it sort of pretty tight and look to break. But Chelsea, I think this is more about Chelsea. This is more about Chelsea because Chelsea is so up and down. You don't quite know what you're going to get with them. Chelsea can be explosive, but at the same time it can be quite erratic. So,
but they've got no manager at the moment, so we don't know who's going to become their manager. I think that it'll be a tight game. It's West London derby.
Yeah.
So no matter who's there, who's not there, it's always going to be a bit tight, isn't it? That's just the way it is. So, I'll say Chelsea will win 2-1. That's what I'm going to say.
What assets would you look at in that game? Obviously, Wilson he's doing what he's doing, and I think it's kind of bittersweet for me. So I always want to give people more time before I bite the bullet, per se, but definitely missed the boat with Wilson. What I will say with Wilson is that he's playing more consistently now than he ever has done. And that's due to availability. So I don't think missing the boat means that, he's now going to go downhill from this point. Like, I think at this point of the season, he's played more minutes than he did for the whole of last season. And the season before, he had a lot of injuries as well. So it's actually about consistency of play with him. And he's obviously doing his thing. And even the way he took his goal against Liverpool, you can see that he's just, like, he knows where the goal is. He can do his thing. I think it's difficult to find any other assets from Fulham, to be brutally honest, until they get their AFCON players back.
Wilson's always been a person that's been technically sound, right? He's always had a good shot in him. He's always been very good at kind of striking the ball. I think that defensively he's been the issue in why he kind of doesn't play, a lot of 90-minute games. But
that's because of what it's his injuries.
It's been his injury.
That's
But I think in terms of back to your point about assets, to be honest with you, these two teams are kind of teams I would really stay away from. Chelsea rotate a hell of a lot, and
so let's keep it real, yeah. If you're a Fulham fan and you wanted a Fulham asset in your team, there's only two that I would go to, maybe three. Anderson, but he'll be a squad rotation depending on who you're playing because he gets defensive contributions and you are capable of clean sheets because you just said it, Guffs, that from your point of view that they're good defensively. So then you could look at their, so therefore you could look at their assets. But that's just, I don't necessarily agree that. I had Anderson for a period where they had good fixtures, and then as soon as the fixtures changed, got rid of him. But I kept Wilson in before the run started, and he's in my team, and there's no plan to take him out currently because he's maintained that form since he got injured. But the last person from Fulham, I would say, is Raul.
Jimenez.
Yeah. So while Raul Jimenez is still the only striker available, and he's on pens, he's always a decent player to have in the team. And if you've noticed over the last few game weeks, if he didn't score, it was Wilson assisting him, and when Wilson's not got the goal, it was Wilson assisting Jimenez. So he'll be the third person from Fulham.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As for Chelsea, you talk about rotation. What I would say is Enzo will be someone that I had in my team, and he was frustrating me, and I took him out. And like FPL likes to do to you, he started to score those goals. And also,
Reece James.
I would also look at Palmer. He's starting to play games now. He hasn't really kicked off yet. And I think at some point under a new manager, it might happen. Won't rush to put him in, but I would say he's one to put on the watch list because he's a quality player. And at some point, if the right manager comes in, it will click for him. But defensively, yeah, I do like James. He's someone else that's managed to stay fit. If he can stay fit, he'll be a decent asset. And they're playing him not on the right of midfield at the moment. But Casado was out.
He's so
So
good
you've
at
got to
set
remember
pieces. He's on corners as well, right? And his delivery is pretty good. It's up there with like a Rice delivery. So he's always good for assists for his James, and he'll get defensive clean sheets as well if Chelsea keep them. So, so exactly what I was going to say is that he's been. I think he's played 23 of 28 games, last 28 games. So he's now getting consistency in terms of being on the pitch. So hopefully, I mean, I like Reece James, you know, and I'm glad to sort of see him back on the pitch playing again. But he seems to be over his injuries now, and he'll be someone that, yeah, to your point, I'll be looking at. If you want to get players from Chelsea, he's definitely on my top 3 for their assets, for sure.
I don't really like price for him personally.
I think the price for Palmer, like I think I mentioned this the last time out that we were speaking. He's 10.4. Like everybody rushed to start buying him and so on. I still think that his minutes are not great yet. They don't justify it. So like he played the full 90 against City, but then he done what he always does in a big away game. He was quiet. And even the time out before that, he got a pen and then he was subbed at like 60 or 67th minute, something along those lines. I still think that we're probably 2 weeks away from seeing him back in form. But as we know, the FPL community is very, very reactive, right? So, you know, people are looking and trying to chase things. So they generally will start the herd mentality and they'll go to, oh yeah, he'll be good, yada, yada, yada. So for now, he's not somebody that I'm looking to bring in. I'd start looking to bring him in around about game week 24, when they really start having an easy fixture run. I think they will be problematic for everybody from about February because I can see a good 5 to 6 wins for them because of their fixture run. And I think that's where he will kick in and he'll do good. So yeah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, is it to me the week is going to be difficult. I mean, you've got Brentford, Sunderland. It's always difficult to work out what you're going to get with Brentford, but at home they are fairly strong. And likewise, you've got Bournemouth, Tottenham. But with the January transfer window now open, who knows who's actually going to be available to play in that game? Especially, I mean, Semenya, he had his pastor there on Saturday, like basically reading last rites for him at Bournemouth, so who knows, he won't be there next week. And I've even seen rumours of that guy that loves baby oil at Fulham going to West Ham. What's his name? Traore.
Puffy.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Which, so interestingly, remember when I was saying that when I was talking about the rumours where I thought Nuno was going to go to West Ham? So my understanding was that he had already indicated to West Ham who he wanted them to try to get in the summer. So they had gone in for Traore then. So it looks as though he's going back in to see what he could do. I hope he can turn it around there. But yeah, it's looking a struggle. This league is tough, and the promoted teams that have come up are not the fodder that they have been in years gone by. So
what I would say is it's like for us, still half a season to go and a lot can happen. Obviously, everyone knows this is my team, but West Ham is my second team. So if I had one, so I'd like him to stay up. Don't know if Nuno's the man to do it, but it's a very tough league, as you said, and it's proven it in the FPL game weeks that we've seen unfold because it's hard to predict. Guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go, you know, and I think that for me, Wolves and Burnley are like, to me, certainty to go down for me. So you're looking at, you know, a few teams who could potentially be that third spot, and West Ham are one of those teams, but they're not too far disconnected. But to my earlier point, they're playing Nottingham Forest, who are 4 points above them. They've got to win this game. If they lose that game, then I think it's a different conversation. 7 points then becomes a bit of a gap. But, you know, they win the game, it's 1 point, and they're back in the mix again. And then You string 2 or 3 wins at the end of the table, then you can make a big difference. And if you look at the league generally, the league's pretty tightly packed, right? I mean, you got like 12 teams who are separated by like 4 points. So, I said in the show many times before. Like when I look at the Premier League, there's like 10 to 12 teams who are all pretty closely matched. And when you're playing against these teams, if you get them on a wrong day, you can get hurt by them, right? But it's just about timing with a lot of these teams in terms of the fixtures. So, but it'd be interesting to see who West Ham buy if they buy anyone in the window. I think they need a few recruitments, especially in terms of offensive players. Could have been Dyer all year, and without Bowen.
Do you think that there's not going to be many signings in this transfer window or something?
Look, I think they need some guys in. We always know that January is always a tough time to buy players in. But I think that there are clubs who are trying to balance the books, so there will be deals to be had. So we'll see how it all pans out, man. But West Ham need 2 or 3 guys in for sure.
Yeah, to your point, Hots, I think this window is going to be a strange one because it's a World Cup year. So
people like to see talent, and people are going to want to play games. So people are going to want to be off.
Yeah, 100%.
I've already seen that so far. So far, there's one person that I would say that's moved that I'm keeping my eye on, and that's Brendan Johnson. That's gone to Palace.
Yep.
Because I think he's a goal scorer. And at Spurs, I don't know, they weren't playing him, and he's a goal scorer. So at Palace,
Brendan Johnson, B-Tech Walcott.
I don't know about that, but you better put him in your team after saying that stuff.
Walcott was effective.
I just think I think it's just one of those things, right? Like, I think we can't look for certified players to move at this period of time because they want to play in the World Cup, right? So unless they've got a guarantee of playing time, why would you move? Is partly why I find even the Semenyo rumours for where he could go, whether it be City or whether it be Liverpool, it's an interesting one for me. But because the country he plays for, I would imagine that he's going to play regardless anyway. But depending on where he goes, it could end up being a backward move for him from being the main guy in a small pond to just being a bit part player and a squaddy. I think Liverpool feels like it would make more sense for him with everything that they have done in terms of the injuries they've got and things like this. City is always an interesting one when somebody goes there because we know that there is a pepification period that everybody has and you might not make it after that. But we shall see.
I think there'll be 1 or 2 teams that will go big, because like I said, to double down on my point I made before, because the league is tightly packed, there will be a couple of owners out there who will look at an opportunity and say, look, actually, if we do a bit of business, we've got an opportunity here to kind of get into European places. Liverpool are struggling still, and I don't see them suddenly going on a 10-game winning streak. I think they got problems, and I don't see that being solved this season. So that top 4 or 5, depending on if you get the 5 spots again for the UK, for England, sorry. There's some teams who are on the edges of that who can be hopeful of potentially getting a Champions League spot. So I mean, if you're
I think there's only one spot in the top 4 that is available. Like Liverpool will make the top 4.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, it's top 5, isn't it? Again, potentially this year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, outside of
top 4, Liverpool will make it. Will be City, Arsenal, Liverpool in the top 3, like whatever order that may be. Then
I'm not so sure.
Who's going to be 4th?
That's interesting.
Is it Chelsea? Is it Villa?
We'll get back together.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it's that. I'm not saying they won't, but I don't think it's that clear cut because they're surprising me. Van Dijk and that. You see, like for that period of good fixtures, because I like to play for fixtures, and I put Van Dijk in. That was my biggest regret. And I said it at the beginning episodes that Liverpool's defence don't touch them. And I thought, well, they had the fixtures, they've got to get a clean sheet now, and they didn't. So that's made me lose confidence in them. They can't keep a clean sheet for nothing. And they wanted to sign Gay, and they didn't, which is why I brought up the transfer window. I think nearly every team will sign a player. So out of 20, at least 15 teams are going to make signings. That's my honest opinion. I think it's going to be much more busy than you think. Even Arsenal will sign someone. Because teams are trying to survive, teams are trying to secure championships, teams are trying to get into the European spots, team players are trying to secure World Cup spots. So there's going to be movement in this transfer window. So don't be too hasty and rushing around because, we don't know who's going to be moving to where by the end of this January. But hey, we'll see. The window's just open, so long time to go.
Right. So it's about time for us to have a look back before we go forwards. Festive period has come and gone. There were a lot of game weeks going through that. We know what those game weeks did. We know the results, the impacts, etc. Now it's a good time for us to look at what that's meant for our teams. We'll start with you, Guffs, as you finished last over the festive period.
Yeah. Like I said at the start of the show, it was a meaty sort of period. I made some big changes coming into the Christmas period. My strategy was to sort of pack my team with players who I assumed would play all the games from teams that had fairly sparse squads because of African nations and injuries, which is why I brought in players like Cunha and Dorgu and Vert as well, another one, because I thought he had game time. Now I'm on the other side of that period. Verts is one of the people that is interesting because he's actually returned for me twice over the last 3 game weeks. But I've watched a bit of Liverpool actually on the TV. I've not been impressed with his performance, although he has got returned to me. And Gakpo was injured; he's now back. So I'm slightly concerned of his guaranteed 9 minutes going forward.
Won't the Ekitike injury help with that though? If it
I'm not entirely sure. Is it a hamstring injury he's got?
Yeah, that's what Slot has said.
Okay.
I don't know how severe that is, whether it's just a twinge or whether it's an actual tear.
Well, that changes things a little bit. If it is a hamstring injury, then obviously they've got to play Gakpo through the middle, and then obviously Verts is going to play more now. So that's maybe changed my mindset. But he's someone that I'm just not convinced by, to be honest with you. I think that Arsenal is a team that I'm looking at going forward. Odegaard is a player that I'm looking at now because what's become clear is what I knew already. He's going to get minutes and heavy minutes, and as his go-to guy. And he's been playing well as well, Odegaard, with a few assists here and there. So he's someone that's an interesting look for me. But I think Hotz mentioned a little while ago about not rushing to use chips and wild cards because of the transfers that are kind of going to happen over the next few weeks. I think that's wise words. I'm sure people will jump to
a quarter of a million have already.
Yeah, look, everyone has their own tactics, right? And I respect it. People want to jump and get ahead of the curve, and that's cool. But I do think it's wise to just wait and see how these transfers pan out, because I think because teams, and I say it again for the third time, because teams are packed so tightly, a couple of transfers to certain teams can really change the needle for certain teams. So I'm not looking to make any major moves in terms of like chips until the window's probably closed, or at least to the very back end of the window. And actually, although my team's been meaty, I'm fairly happy with the structure of my team. On paper, it looks pretty good and well balanced. I guess just need a bit of luck, right? Going forward. So,
do you think that you were too aggressive in the initial game week into the festive period? Do you think that may have been the only reason why you didn't finish top, for instance? Because initially you took some hits, right?
Yeah. No, I think they were the right moves, and I think there was one week in which I took a -8, which didn't quite work out. But I knew that I'd done the -8 because it was more to do with what was going to come after that. And looking at that, like I said, Verts, who I took a -4, has made 2 returns. Cunha, who I brought in a part of the minus, has scored today. So these moves that I've made have kind of paid off, and my team was in a bad way. There were changes I just had to do. Unfortunately, when you're down near the bottom of the league and you haven't got much room for error, it looks worse because had I been near the top, I don't think it would have been a big problem. But yeah, look, I think going forward, I think the next game week or two, I'm gonna be mild and fairly cautious because my team's in decent shape. But Verts is someone that I'm looking to possibly offloading, and I'm watching the people like Saka and Palmer, because those are the two sort of assets out there that I might have to sort of bring my team. I've got the money in my bank to make those changes to those players, but I'm not convinced by either at this point. And also Everton is another team. I know they conceded 4 today, but they've been really good defensively, and I feel like I should have an Everton asset in my team. So yeah, there's a few things in my head I'm thinking about.
It's interesting you say that. I've looked at Everton. The reality with Everton is they've been overperforming defensively in relation to what their expected goals conceded should be and the types of chances that they're conceding. So they're not as rock solid as it seems. But it's one of those ones. I think that if you take an Everton asset at the moment from a defensive point of view, it's for the short term. It's not a medium to long term thing. Because I don't think their current performance is sustainable unless the guys that are at AFCON come back and they help the structure of the team better when they come back. Okay.
I'll end on this note. I think now that Gabriel's back for Arsenal, if you haven't got 2 defensive assets from Arsenal at this point, then I think that's probably something you should do going forward. I think having
What's
Gabriel.
your why behind that though?
I just think. Obviously, I know they conceded 2 against Bournemouth, but one was a mistake that he doesn't make, and then one was a worldie. I think that with Gabriel back in Arsenal defence, I think they're a lot more secure, and Arsenal are coming into a good period of games. I was looking at Sky Sports the other day, and I was watching Carragher talk about Arsenal's and remaining away fixtures, which are basically against a lot of the teams in our we get to face away are all sort of bottom of the league, bottom half teams. So I think from this point to the end, but I think from this point to the end of the season, I expect Arsenal to keep a fair amount of clean sheets if they can keep their defense fit. So I would be looking to pivot back to having 2 assets from Arsenal in defence. That's something to look out for.
I don't know. Like, obviously, like Arsenal, I think that there's been a lot of hype around Arsenal's defence, which obviously for the past X amount of games they've conceded consistently. And yes, I understand that's coincided with Gabriel not being there. But the reality is that they're not now going to go back to a scenario where they don't concede goals whatsoever. And contrary to what you're saying, I don't think that Arsenal have an easy fixture run until like game week 30. Like they don't have a consistent run where you can look at the teams and be like, yeah, I can't see them conceding there. Like every team that they're going to play over the next 6 game weeks got the potential to hit them on the counter because they have strengths in areas that Arsenal historically have an issue with. But we'll see. I guess the problem with Gabriel as well is if you never jumped on the train for him again, whilst he was 6.3 or 6.2 still, like I think he's 6.6 now, and he will go up again because the herd is speaking, right? So I'd imagine by the next time we're speaking, he's probably closer to 7 mil than he is even now.
Well, I've got 2 Arsenal at the back, but I guess I should just go into reviewing my game weeks.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So I'll come to that last. Our last episode, I said that I will go against Haaland captaincy for the for the festive period. I backed my mouth on that. I also said that I would take minuses every game week if I felt like I needed to. I also backed my mouth on that. So yeah, I pretty much said what I was going to do in the last episode and done it. Ekatike was my captain twice. He sort of let me down, to be fair. But Haaland's done nothing. So it worked out in the sense that he beat Haaland, but he didn't get a goal. He got an assist and then did nothing. just to equal Haaland. So it was a bit disappointing. Being brave enough to go against Haaland and then not really getting what I wanted to get from it. Some of my minuses were the right decisions, and the most recent one, it was the right decision at the time, but I regret it. Obviously, we heard Rice is out. Rice is my guy. Gabriel was back, and he's my guy. So I thought, you know what? I want to keep Rice and get Gabriel in, but since Rice is out, this has made it easier for me. So I took Rice out, and I basically did a -4 to get Gabriel in. Got rid of Van Dijk as soon as I could. So it was Gabriel in for Van Dijk. Van Dijk went and conceded 2 against Fulham. Gabriel went and scored, but we didn't get the clean sheet. So Raya, who's considering Guffs is talking about 2 at the back, conceded and got me a 1 this game week. And the captain, Saka, which was looking horrible when he was benched against my wishes and thoughts. But, I was getting a bit of ridicule in some of the groups for captaining Saka against Haaland when he had Chelsea at home with no manager and no Caicedo. But again, I was brave enough to do it. And I'm not saying that I thought it was going to happen, but Saka actually outscored Haaland. So it was nice to actually get that right. But it's also a bit sweet because Rice went and smacked it. And I'm pissed that I ain't got Rice no more. And I've got 3 Arsenal players. So I'm like, oh. And then Thiago scored a hat-trick as well this game week. And I'm like, oh, he was in my team too. But when I was trying to shuffle to have enough money to do all of this stuff, I had to make sacrifices. Then Enzo, who I took out, scored. And then it just seems like everyone goes through this FPL bullshit of when you take out a player, they go and score. And everyone goes through it. So it's not just me. You can't get everything right. But over the last 3 game weeks, I think the last 2 has been very poor for me. The -4s didn't actually work. Hence, Ark, out of the 3 of us, was the top manager in those 2 weeks. And I said to myself, you know what? As much as I want to captain Haaland, I'm going to go for Saka, go against Grain, and hope to win this game week. So even though I won't be hosting this game week, I can get into that double figures, because that was the other thing I said in the last episode, that I want to be in double figures by the time we come back. And I mean double figures for wins. So I managed to do that. So that's made me happy. And I think FPL wise, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do minuses because I've done 3 in a row. And I'm still not gaining on the people above me, really. It's been a tough Christmas period, but it's a new year. I've had a good start, and I hope to continue that start for the months to come. Because usually I have bad starts and I do well in the second half of the season, so I'm praying for the same this season. But overall, a good end to a poor Christmas period. So, hopefully FPL for 26 will be much better for me. And that's about it about my team. But what I would like to say quickly is I love the fact that Arsenal, are 6 points clear in the league. And that's another thing about FPL. When you're in a situation and you support a team and you put that team over your FPL team, it can be so difficult for a true supporter. And there's been a lot of things happening over the Christmas where as an Arsenal supporter, I'm like, but I've captained a Katike. I don't want him to outscore this person. It's so difficult having the balance of wanting your team to do well and wanting your FPL team to do well. And I know everyone goes through that battle, so I thought it was worth mentioning it, because I know everyone goes through that dilemma. But hey, it's part of the game, isn't it? So yeah.
How are you feeling about the season ahead, though? I mean, you're someone that's always very kind of confident about turning things around. You still feeling confident, or are you kind of a bit more pessimistic for the season?
To be honest, with FPL, they always change something every season, right? But always manage to be amongst the top of all my leagues. And obviously, I do private money leagues and stuff like that. And I'm usually always up at the end of the season. I haven't had a season when I've not been in profit, ever. So I have to be confident in myself, like I am usually. And I believe I'll be not in a negative by the end of the season for my money leagues. I at least hope to cover my entries at minimum. And in regards to top-in leagues, it's looking harder right now, but like we're all back to having our chips back. The first half of the season's done. I believe that I will be higher than I am now. I definitely am going to be closing the gap on the people above me. I'm definitely going to be rising, so I'm confident in that sense. But to say that I'm going to outright win a league is a bit too optimistic to say and speak on right now, because as you know, I'm a man that does minuses. So then I'm giving myself hurdles before I'm even progressing forward. And I think you mentioned it now, that if you was in the top positions now, those mediocre or just slight misses that you had, you would have maintained the top spot. But because you're way at the bottom, when you have a mediocre week or you have a decent-ish week, you're still amongst the bottom because there's so much movement. So where I'm in the middle, as much as I can have some good game weeks, all I'm getting is green arrows in the middle. So I'm going to have a proper, consistent run of form to even be thinking about winning anything. But what I will say is, I always put respect to my name. And that's what I intend on doing. So I guess when we get to the end of the season, we're going to see where I'm at then. But my intention is to do what I always do, which is rise when it comes to the second half of the season. This is the business end, and I'm always on business.
Yes, I feel motivated and ready for war now.
That's what I'm about. All three of us to go to war, not if just each other, but to climb in the league table and just, you get me? It's that time now. Because the beginning half of the season is always this part of the season where you just got to just not
lose it.
Yeah, literally. Like I said it at the beginning when I know you're going to go to your team now, Art, so I guess this is a perfect way. Where we left it was you contemplating doing a bench boost. And I was like, listen, if your bench boost comes through for you, because them chips there, it's one of the chips that's worth using. It's not like the free hit which you mentioned that you could sacrifice. And if it comes off, it can work out. And obviously, it was in one of your good game weeks out of the three that you did it, and I saw the jump from the points compared to what me and Guffs had. So I was like, same thing. It may not have got you to top spot, but it's climbed, because say I was 150 points away from whoever's top, and you was 100 points behind me, for example. I've had a good game week this week compared to you, but I'm not 100k of you no more because of those 2 game weeks. And that, if you look at that from now for the rest of the second half of the season, because I've closed 100 points easy, loads of times. Yeah. So I'm confident of doing it if I can get the right decisions and make the right. Going against Haaland, this is why I don't know what's going to happen from here on. Because if I keep going against him, at some point it might come back to bite me. And if Haaland did anything in the last 3 game weeks, I would be finished. Because everyone captained him, mainly. So I was just fortunate enough that I went against him 3 weeks in a row, and it didn't impact me. Yeah. But I don't know how much I can do that for. But anyway, Ark, let's get to your teams.
Yes. So for my team, over the festive period, I had a couple of things I was doing. So I spoke about structurally what I wanted to do and what my strategy going forwards. I was up in regards to what's going on with us, but as you know, what was more important to me was focusing on the strategy that I had, which was and still is that I need to be performing 5 to 7 points above average in order for me to start making up some kind of gaps, progress in the leagues that we're in. The biggest thing for me was my bench boost when I was going to do it. whether I was going to do that in 18 or 19. I chose to do it in 18. It worked out for me from a structural point of view. I brought a defender in just to ensure that I had minutes going through that week. And unfortunately, Calafiori wasn't available, so I didn't have the 15. But the 14 did well for me. So that's where I got my biggest uplift, I guess, points wise. In terms of star performance for me, Cherky has been a good one for me since he has been in. He's done what he needs to do. Gordon has also done well for me, but Gordon's also one that is a concern point for me as well, because he's just not getting the minutes. So he's always, even over this period, he still seems to get 60 odd minutes maximum, and then he's off. Now, the reason I have him within my team is because he's got various different routes to goal. However, it probably would have been more beneficial for me to have Bruno Guimarães as a player that I've got rather than Gordon. So that's when it goes to show that actually, yeah, the fact that he's on pens, etc., doesn't necessarily override whether somebody else within the same team is better or provides better value. Other concerns that I've got at the moment are I've got De Kuyper, and he's a minutes issue as well. Calafiori's injured at the moment, so I'm an iron on do I transfer him out or do I feel that he will be back by the next time we play? Problem that we've got is, as you both know, Mickey Tetz, he is not exactly forthcoming with information. So to this point, we still don't really know what's happened with him other than it was strange how he got injured. And the other concern I've got in and around my team is Semenyo. If he goes to City, then I can't see him having the nailed guaranteed minutes that he's got at the moment. And that will be a problem because I think I alluded to it before that within the midfield that I've got within my current squad, I don't feel there's enough upside in it as it stands at this moment. And I think if you remove him from there, that creates a problem for me. So like I am on the lookout, but there's a lot of maneuvering that I need to do. I also feel that there's some work that I'll need to do in and around my striker as well. I don't think that I think I've got too much money in the striking area. So I feel like it's better for me to plump on two and go with one that will be nailed for minutes, but I'm not expecting much from them. So that means I'm looking at the likes of Calvert-Lewin, etc., going forwards, not because he fills me with joy and I think, yeah, he'll excitedly get X or Y, but more because he's a steady Eddie. And there'll be some returns. I don't plan on using any of my chips for now. So it's really just about building out. And from that perspective, future plans for me are simply that I'm not one that's going to be getting excited off of transfers, because if you do, you don't know how a player is going to be when they move to another team, etc. So we had that with Harvey Elliott, for instance. Like you would have said, based on how he had played for Liverpool last year and so on, going to Aston Villa, like he'd be a shoe-in, etc. Manager doesn't like him, so therefore he's not doing that. I think he's now going to be going off to Charlotte FC or something like this in the MLS before he's even seeing the Premiership again. So I think with transfers, it's always going to be one of those ones where I've learnt my lesson now, and I will see how things are. So I'd rather give somebody 2-3 game weeks to see how they've adjusted and then make the move than me going for it, unless it's somebody that is certified. But I don't imagine there's going to be any certified Prem players moving to another Prem club.
Is there a player that you haven't got in your team that you wish you had right now?
At the moment, I mean, there are the obvious ones like Rodgers, but even with Rodgers, like he defies my logic and the criteria that I work with. So I can't say that I regret not having him.
Bro, sorry to interrupt your answer, but I put in Rodgers in that festive period. Man got me 1-1. Like, I know we had difficult games, but it just goes to show what you said previously about form. Like, he was in good form, and I felt like he'd be able to pull off something against Chelsea or Arsenal. and then he just got 2 yellow cards. That was what he pulled off at, man. 1 point at one
Got
point.
good games over there coming up, but yeah, I hear your point.
Yeah, but in the 3 games he's been in for me, what has he done? Nothing. So
Got an assist. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he got me 1 point, and an assist. So technically, it's like 2-2-2 if you want to be counting points per game. So to me, what I would say, I didn't want to interrupt you previously, was when you were talking about not rushing into transfers, I actually have the approach where I'm aggressive. As you know, I said I was going to do minuses and I did them. But also, if I handle your approach where you didn't take the minuses, your bench boost worked, your second game week worked again, and then it's just this week that it didn't work. So sometimes the patient approach does work. And if I was patient this week and I didn't rush to take out Rice, and I thought if I was one of those people who said, you know what, let me leave Rice on my bench, blah, 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 okay, I wouldn't have had Gabriel, but I would have got more points because Rice would have given me those points. And those people who had Rice and kept him and benched him, even if they were pissed when he started, because Ekitike didn't start, a lot of people got Rice off the bench. So, and those people that had faith in Rice and just didn't rush to make changes, they got those points too. So, to sum my point up in a nutshell, as much as I am aggressive and I'm willing to take minuses, I am going to start thinking more cautiously on the players who I am sacrificing, because I'm in a situation where whoever you choose to sacrifice, it could come back to bite you. And like I said, this is a critical part of the season now, so no more mistakes. And that's what I would say there. But yeah.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I think like we're in the second half of the season. It's part of the reason why we've talked about the show changing a bit of direction as well, in terms of trying to make sure we're shedding light on strategic decisions that we should be making to give ourselves the platform to do better, right? I think going back to Guffs' question, if you were to press me on it, the person that I most regret that I didn't go in for is Wilson. I think that Wilson will be able to sustain his form. And outside of that, there isn't anyone per se. I've got people that I've got my eye on at the moment, that I know that I need to make certain maneuvers. But over the past 4 game weeks, I can't say that I've looked at it and regretted that I don't have X or I don't have Y, because ultimately I did well over the past 4 game weeks. But that has to change because we are in that second part of the season where we need to lock in. This is the part of the season where real FPL managers, people that are actually interested, not just casual on it, need to lock in and do what they need to do to start getting themselves up the league. Like the position that I'm in, for instance, like, yes, I'm better off than where I was before Christmas, but it's still a million miles away from where I want to be. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order for me to get there. But yeah, going back to my future, my immediate plans. Last game week, I brought in a different goalkeeper because Ramsdale, Pope is back and he's now back on the bench. So I couldn't afford a situation where I'm relying on Dubravka. That said, now I need to look around for another defender. So that's probably my approach for the next 1 to 2 game weeks. Definitely this game week coming. Like I've got too much minute risk with the people that I've got at the moment, and also I've still got Senesi who can't be relied on. Bournemouth, like the shot volume that they concede is just unserious. So like regardless of how well he does, DEFCON, yada yada yada, like there is a balancing act with DEFCON. If you've got DEFCON but no clean sheet and a booking, that's of no use. So there are different things that need to be weighed up, but that's where I am at the moment. There are a few things that are not screaming, this needs to be happening, otherwise you're bleeding. However, the points tally that I've ended up on this week, like suggests to me, especially with even one of the last game weeks that I won between us, it was only like a point or 2, as it was. I know that everybody didn't do great because of the rotation or whatever not, but for me that then says, well, pattern's starting to form. and I need to make sure I get in there before we go any further. So that's my structure and where I'll be headed. So now we know what we're all looking to do over the next game week, or what our future plans are. It's probably useful, bearing in mind that the next game week is coming up very quickly, to have a look at captain choices. So there seems to be 7 that stand out based on points forecast. So I think Haaland, the forecast for him is that he'll get 7 points. Palmer around about 5, Saka around about 5 as well. And there are a few that we haven't usually considered. For instance, we've got Bruno G in there, Bowen as well, and we've got Schade. I'm more concerned with the Semenyo one. I know the projection is that he'll get just under 5, but bearing in mind we don't know where he's going to be. Like, City could pull off the deal this week to ensure that happens, or indeed he might know that he's going within the week and be playing within himself. So I'm not sure that he's one that I would necessarily go with. But if we're looking at the people that we've got up there at the moment, if you look at who has returned from them, you're looking at Guimarães, Haaland. But even with Haaland, he's been blanking quite frequently over the Christmas period, which is quite an interesting one.
Too much turkey.
And the only other thing that I would say is that the reality is he's playing against Brighton and he's playing at home. Brighton are generally chaotic because they're very back and forth, etc. They concede a lot centrally and through the wide areas. They're just that kind of team, because they go 1v1 on a man-to-man vibe everywhere. Palmer's interesting, as you've heard from my thoughts previously. I wouldn't be looking to captain Palmer at the moment. I wouldn't even be looking to buy him. That said, he'll probably go and score a hat-trick now.
Look, I think Haaland's always a safe pick, isn't he? I mean, I think we said this before on the show.
Yeah, definitely a safe floor pick.
He's
because
a safe.
you hedge your bets against people, right?
Yeah, he's going to be the most captain person this game week. They're at home to Brighton. He hasn't scored in a few game weeks, and today he looked a forlorn and frustrated character. So, you'd think that Man City, having dropped points in the last 2 games, that they can't afford to drop any more points in this period.
Not scoring in 3.
So I think that he'll be the one that is the obvious pick. I said before, I think Bowen is a shout as well, because I think that they need to win this game, West Ham, and they're at home. Forest have been conceding goals as well, which is a complete change from where they were last year, where they were very tight at the back. This year they're pretty leaky, so he's someone that's worth looking at. And the one person that he didn't mention, I think, was Thiago. Obviously, he went through a period where he wasn't scoring goals. He got a hat-trick, obviously, this game, which is gone. And although Sunderland are a decent defensive team, Brentford are a good home team, and he's on penalties as always. So he's someone to look out for. Thiago, I would also mention. But I think for me, Hart's mentioned that he went against Haaland all the game weeks. I mean, I went against Haaland for 2 of the game weeks with Ekatike. But I think for this game week, I'm going for Haaland. To me, there are weeks in which you go against him. I don't think this is the week you go against Haaland. I think it's risky. So, to me, I'm going safe and going Haaland.
Okay. With me, you said something about Thiago, who was in my team for most of the season once I had him in. I took him out during his quiet period because I wanted to save money for other positions. And since I've taken him out, he hasn't really been doing nothing until the hat-trick he done this weekend. The hat-trick he got this weekend is similar to what you were saying when you look at Haaland. He hasn't done nothing in 3 games. Home to Brighton, 6 points behind the mighty Arsenal. And I'm sure City will have a bounce back. I'm sure he's going to want to get back in the scoring sheet. So I think Haaland's my captain this week. I won't be going against him for the 4th week in a row. However, when I went to captain Saka this week and he outscored Haaland, he was on the bench, which pissed me off because I feel like I've gone, like I said earlier, I've gone against Haaland 3 times. I didn't really gain from them. Like, I think Ekatike got an assist. And then the same thing happened with Saka. He got an assist and was off the bench. So the points that I was trying to eat on Haaland captainers didn't happen. I'm still tempted to go Saka again because he has to start this week. And I think Arsenal have to beat Liverpool. And I think Saka's another person who hasn't scored in a while. And for example, there's a penny. He's going to say, yo, Perez, listen, bro. You've got the last one. I'm taking this one because I need to go this time now. So you have scored in field. So everyone's got Haaland. I was going to say, if you haven't got Haaland, then you've got Saka, go for Saka. But everyone's got Haaland if you've got any common sense. But I could do a last minute swap to Saka if I'm brave enough to do it 4 weeks in a row.
Do it.
No, I wouldn't take advice from you. Over to you, Mark.
No, you always accuse me of like talking and not doing. Do it. Go Saka.
Well, I clearly have gone against Haaland for 3 game weeks in a row, and I'm saying that Haaland is the most sensible choice. But if I was gonna go against again, I would go Saka, and I potentially might.
You won't. You won't.
No, potentially. Well, you know what the word potentially means, and I might not.
Oh.
But there's nothing to debate about because I've done it 3 weeks in a row. I've done everything I've said I would.
So when I say potentially, I get jumped on, but when you potentially, it's all good, yeah?
I heard you use the word potentially. I heard you say you're going to do something and do something totally different, more than one occasion.
That's not true, my friend. It's not
Definitely.
true.
And
true.
So
watch the tape, my friend.
That. You say watch the tape every time that you don't do what you say.
Okay.
But the facts are, beginning of the last episode, man said that I would go against Haaland every game. Man said he would take minuses every game. I did everything I said I would. So the proof's in the pudding for me. You say things and then do something else. You give advice and go against advice that you've said. So if I was you, I'd just keep quiet, let it go over to art before I say more and expose you further. That's why you got the name of the politician.
Bring evidence, not just words, my friend. That's
the viewers see it, mate. The viewers see it.
Yeah, okay.
The viewers see it. Whoever the
so yours is Haaland, yeah? Cool.
Yeah, like I said, it would be. Okay. Are you deaf?
No, you said potentially it could be Saka.
I said,
we know it's not.
Obvious. I said, unless I go against her, this ain't gonna pressure me to get into Saka. I'm gonna go. So you know what the dumbest thing is? Imagine Haaland picks up a knock or something goes on. Then everyone's gonna know who my second choice is. So I'm giving my second choice. Or if anything else happens in between this and between that and the next games, then he's gonna be the person that would go. If I'm gonna go against Haaland this week, it will be Saka. But,
so me, Haaland, you, Haaland. Who are you going for, Arg?
I'll be going for Haaland, but the point of the captain's choice is more to help anybody that is watching this over what choices there are, not having crazy banter between us, like over you lying and it not actually being a lie. But is what it is. I think the both of you are correct. It's virtually impossible to go against Haaland this week. It's not as though anybody else in the City team has been doing the numbers recently in order for you to even have a debate either way. Although I mentioned this to a few people that I was speaking to, what I have noticed with Rodri being back in their team, he literally instinctively the only thing he tries to do is to find Foden. It's the same as when Doku comes on. So I expect Foden, he's a streaky player. I expect him to have another streak very soon. Not saying that it will happen next game week, but it looks like he will be coming back into that kind of scenario. But that said, that kind of wraps up where we are for the game week in terms of what we are able to provide. Obviously, as said, we're changing direction a bit next week, so we'll be more focusing on how to think and not just pick for your team, effectively trying to work out when the right time is to go with template and when it's not, and why some managers get this wrong. So that will be where we go to. But as ever, like and subscribe. You can see the bell at the bottom of the screen. Hit that. Stay notified with what's going on with us. We're all on socials, as you can see. under the tags that you can see below our names. So we're all there: FPL Guffs, FPL Arc, FPL Hots. And I'm sure you'll see some interesting banner on there as well. So, as I said, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Or will we? In fact, we have a break, don't we?
Yeah, it's the FA Cup,
in
isn't
terms
it?
of some of the cup games and so on.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time.
Bottom line is, who will we get in the host's seat in the middle next time round? Because obviously this one has done over a period.
I'm sitting that. I'm sitting that chair.
Interrupting.
That's what I was, yeah, I'm sitting in that chair.
We'll see.
That's what's going on.
You motivated him, Hots. You see, after you did your
chair.
Churchillian speech, he's now saying that he's sitting in the
This
middle.
guy's got too much to say. I'm sitting in that chair.
He sounded like he was giving up when he said his part.
No. I need to keep you.
Yeah, but you motivated him.
I need to keep you quiet. You talk too much. So I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to be in the host seat this week.
Listen, I'm on the side screen at the moment, just like you. I just didn't finish bottom like you. What I'm doing is I'm congratulating Ark for the Christmas period that he had, and I'm just motivating every FPL manager to keep going, because the second half of the season is the real part of the season, and that's the reals. Like, if I've motivated you and given you that courage to say I'm definitely sitting in the middle in the next one, luck to you, Guffs. But obviously, I'm going to be trying to get in that middle, and I'm going to be trying to climb the league like I try every week. And the best man will win, and the best man will be in the middle for that game week. Like, it's not no gas or whatever you want to talk about. Just do what you got to do, innit? Do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On that note, have a good one, people.
Oh, okay. There he is.
Truth be told, when I wonder what the future holds,